Evening and welcome to the April 5th, 2017 meeting of the Planning Committee of the Contra Costa Transportation Authority. I have one speaker under public comment. This is the time for anyone who speak to us on any item not on the agenda. Mr. Bennett?
Greetings.
We've got a 3-minute clock.
My name's Pete Bennett. My hashtag, for those who are interested, is @PeterCBennett. And you can easily find my comments and my blogs through Pete Bennett, Walnut Creek. I'm here tonight to speak about a couple of things. I'm going to try to keep it reasonably narrow, but I'm going to allude to something that happened 13 years ago. Over the last 4 decades, I've been targeted by officers with tickets relentlessly. When I lived in Danville, they finally got me, and I lost my license. It took 13 years for me to get my license back after Judge Goulart fined me more money when I walked in the door. Now, the relevance to that is that my truck exploded on a freeway. This agency and this entity and body has a lot to do with freeways and safety. Safety is part of the story here, creating safe roadways. So I have a truck that exploded in a ball of fire 100 feet back, visible from the Danville Police Department. And Clayton, former Chief of Police Wenzel, was Chief of Police of Danville when that happened. When my roommate died in the county jail, Chief Wenzel was in charge. When my attorney's son died in the county jail, Chief Wenzel was in charge. I know Patty Grant from the jail. The deputy that, when I was in custody after officers from multiple cities stole everything I owned, I'm not just talking a few $100, folks. I'm talking in the millions. I had a business 30 years ago that would have generated $200 to $300 million in annual revenue, or sequential revenue, excuse me. I lost a lot of money, and I've been beaten up relentlessly, as Lorella has heard me speak many times. I've not had any remedy whatsoever. My attorneys have been beaten up. Relatives have been murdered of my attorneys. My relatives have been murdered. So we're down to the last call here. I'm just going to have to say this quickly. Deputy Foley was SWAT. I guarantee you he knows all the narcotics officers in jail. The reason I bring up Commander George Driscoll is his sister was my girlfriend that got killed in the murder-suicide. It's a snow job, smoke, mirrors, all of it. My cars get totaled, no remedy, nothing at all. And then lastly, the San Pablo fire, the people who just killed on San Pablo Boulevard, I know that's one of your corridor jobs or projects. My friends own that building. The Keith brothers, or rather the Kim brothers, been friends of mine for 30 years. Now they're facing murder charges. And I've been talking over and over about arson, attempted murder, hit and runs, accidents, and I've been through everything possible under the sun. How do I lose millions? Well, you burn down my attorney's office, or you burn them up down the street. That happened right there.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
Yeah, that's all you say is thank you.
May I have a motion to approve the Planning Committee minutes March 1st?
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. Motion carries. We have one item on the consent calendar. May I have a motion?
Second.
And I'm sorry, did you get who moves and seconded, or do you? Okay, with a smaller group. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. No opposed. Motion carries. Regular agenda items. Mr. Engelman, we're going to talk about MTC and the 2017 Regional Transportation Plan.
Yes, Madam Chair. Good evening. Martin Engelman, CCTA. Welcome, Commissioners. This item is a placeholder for the April 19th Authority meeting. MTC staff is going to come here on the 19th and give a presentation of their 2017 Regional Transportation Plan, also known as Plan Bay Area 2040. MTC did a soft launch of the draft RTP on March 31st, and a hard launch earlier this week, so many of you probably received an email. And now the draft plan is online. They are doing limited printing of the document. If you would like to request a printed copy from MTC, they'll provide you one. We attempted to provide you one tonight, but we got the pagination wrong, so we'll try a do-over of that, and we can give you one maybe before you leave tonight, but it'd be great if you could read through the
Does anybody
document.
need it before they leave tonight? I don't want you
Just
and/or
pull it up.
staff to
Okay.
have to worry about that.
Pull it up on the web. So the 2017 RTP includes a strategy for investing $303 billion for transportation, maintenance, operations, and improvements over the next 25 years through the year 2040. MTC's been working on this plan for the past couple of years. What we like to say is no sooner was the ink dry on the 2013 RTP, but they started working on the 2017 RTP, and they've been going at it ever since. So the planning staff here, myself, Brad Beck, Matt Kelly, we've been involved in the partnership discussions about this, and as far as we're concerned, there are no surprises in this plan. They've really brought us along every step of the way and told us their options and their strategies, and so we've worked out a lot of the issues over the past couple of years, and now we can read about how they've gelled in this draft plan. The Director of Planning, Ken Kirky, will be here on April 19th. Following that, there'll be a public workshop on May 10th, Wednesday, and that will be at 6 p.m. next door at the Embassy Suites Hotel, and CCTA will be staffing a table there to tell people about what we do and our role as Self-Help County and CMA. Comments on the draft are going to be due at the end of May, so we're proposing that we'll give you the presentation in April, and then we'll thoroughly review the document. We'll come back to you in May with some comments, and then the authority will meet in May and at their regular meeting transmit final comments to MTC. At this point in time, final adoption is scheduled for July. They're going to release a full EIR on this plan. That'll go out probably mid-April, and also comments are due on that at the end of May, and final adoption in July. If you've already read it and have comments or concerns, let us know tonight. We'll bring it to the authority on the 19th. Otherwise, we'll see you again in May with our comments.
Anybody have any questions? Mr. Hudson?
Martin, April 19th comes, we're going to open, public's actually going to come, ask some questions. The questions gets asked, $303 billion state and federal funding. I mean, how much of it's federal funding? How much in jeopardy? You know what's going on. Do we have an answer for this?
We do, and there's some very nice graphics in the report that show how much is federal, how much is state, how much is regional, how much is local. And at this point, most of it is local funding.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the minority.
I mean, Sparing tells me like 10% of it's federal.
Minority
The question
is,
who's going to answer it and what's the
is
answer?
federal, but
Be ready.
Ken Kirky will be here, and he can easily answer that question. And I'm looking for the pie chart, but yeah.
How about when you send out the link with, you just tell us what page it's on then?
Yeah.
That sound like a plan? Any other questions? Anyone in our audience wish to address this issue? All righty. Then there's no action. We're just accepting that report. Number 3 is the circulation of the draft fiscal year 2017-18 Congestion Management Agency budget, and that again is Mr. Engelman.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. You did have action. Was that? Can we have a motion to accept the report?
Well, it's a placeholder, so when it goes to the authority,
all right,
you'll
so-
accept the report.
Is this
It's set up for the authority. Yeah.
Okay, so
You could
is,
accept my report tonight if you
and
like.
is number 3 an action item, or is this the same kind of thing? Because it says action also.
Number 3, the budget.
Yes.
The budget is indeed an action item,
All righty.
and that you're
We'll
going
get
to
ready.
approve the draft budget.
Great.
So with regard to the CMA budget, the authority was designated as the Congestion Management Agency, or CMA, for Contra Costa in early 1990. And as the CMA, the authority executes the planning functions comprised mainly of the Measure J Growth Management Program, the state equivalent called the Congestion Management Program, and a third program called Sustainable Communities Strategy, or SCS. To support the Measure J-related functions of the Growth Management Program, the budget uses a portion of the 3% funding allocated from the half-cent sales tax revenues to congestion management, transportation planning, facilities, and services. So 3% of our gross revenues from the half-cent sales tax help fund the CMA function. To support the state-related portions of the work, that is, the CMP portion, the authority receives significant funding from federal sources through the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. They're called Surface Transportation Program Funds, STP funds. And we also receive what are called PPM, Project and Program Monitoring Funds. We ask the local jurisdictions to help us fund the agency, and back in the early 90s, we established a joint powers authority with all of the 20 local jurisdictions. At that time, it was only 19. And the joint powers agreement defines what we do as a congestion management agency and establishes that the local jurisdictions will help pay for a portion of the costs of running the CMA. So each year, as set forth in the agreement, we come to you early with the FY 17-18 budget for the CMA. We ask for you to approve it for release, and then we take it to the Public Managers Association, and they're going to meet on April 14th. And at that time, when PMA reviews it, we'll ask them to approve the local contribution, the so-called local contribution, which I'll talk about in a moment. So the budget's developed by laying out the complete scope of work for the coming year. We call this the program description, and it begins in your packet under Attachment B, and it's quite lengthy. But if you want to hear about everything we do
No, I want to
as
hear
a CMA,
if there's any
in there.
deviation from past years, if there's anything that stands out that we need to know.
so what stands out is we've actually lowered the budget quite a bit this year. Just a quick overview, we've gone from 7.5 down to 7 full-time equivalent employees. The total budget's $3.5 million, down from $5 million. And
Is it just because of that?
It's primarily due to conclusion of the transportation expenditure plan effort, and that took up a lot of funding last year. The growth management portion of the work is, again, lower, $972,000 total, below the $1.6 million from last year. CMP portion is about the same at $1.7 million. So total budget's down. The amount we get from the feds, STP funding, is pretty much constant. It goes up a little bit each year. Now it's $834,000. PPM funds come in at $614,000. We also show some pass-through funding in the budget. We're still working on priority development area planning grants, and so we have consultants on board to do that, and there's a direct pass-through with federal money remaining in the amount of $650,000, and that was originally a $2.7 million effort to do PDA planning grants.
What page are you on?
I'm just reading from notes. I'm not actually on
It's okay. I
specific
just thought
page.
I heard you say something about Schedule B.
So Attachment B, I did talk about Attachment B, which starts on page 39, and that's the program description of everything.
Okay, so it's a narrative.
We do. It's a narrative, but if you'd like a quick picture of the budget, go to page 322, and it shows you the adopted budget for last year and the budget for this year.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
And based on what you've said, there's costs are going down because we finished the transportation expenditure plan. Are they, okay, this is 17-18, so that was 16-17. So for 15-16, was sort of I'm going to call it a base year. 16, 17 was an anomaly because we were doing the transportation.
Right.
So is this budget in line with the 15, 16 budget with the appropriate COLAs and different things? Or
It's probably still lower than 15, 16.
Oh,
This is
okay.
a very slim budget, probably the slimmest we've had in a few years. I'd have to go back and look.
No, I
past years,
take your
but,
word for it. Should we be
very
concerned that
slim.
it's slimmer? Is
Well, if
are we not getting as much money in from the sales tax?
If we're getting the money in, we're having to pay some money back that we borrowed against
Okay.
our 3% to pay back for the TEP effort. We are asking local contributions for 2% more than we asked for last year. So last year we asked for $389,000. This year we're asking for $398,000. That's about a 2% increase. And we'll go to the city managers and ask for their approval of that. We'll talk about the countywide plan, the next couple items, and if all goes as planned with that, we can get through with this budget. If there are any bumps in the road, then we'd have to come back to you for a budget amendment.
I'm fine, approved to circulate. The only thing that caught my attention was the PMA, and I don't know how to make it subject to the PMA because they're going to come afterwards anyway. So yeah, where we're at right now to me is fine. I don't think anybody, the full board's going to object unless something comes up at the PMA.
Well, and that would be my only question, or something that you probably plan explaining. If this is a slimmer budget, why are we asking for a 2% increase?
Right. So we have the same amount of state and federal money coming in. We borrowed from reserves to get through the Measure X TEP effort, and so we've had to lower our budget to account for that, and
But we're still.
asking for the same amount. Yeah.
Oh,
And
I'm
this-
sorry.
and
So
the-
this is a standard ask every
Yeah,
year.
the local number is actually set by policy to be at a minimum the match for the federal money we receive. So any federal money we receive for the CMA functions, the local jurisdictions pay 11.47% match, and that's in the CMA agreement. So that's kind of fixed.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were asking for a 2% increase. You're asking for the 2% when you go every year and ask for money.
Well, the amount the total amount we're asking for is 2% higher than last year.
Okay, I did
That's
hear
true.
that.
Yeah, that's correct. And the total federal funds we're getting is also 2% higher. So that's why the match goes up according to the
I
federal
see.
money.
And
Okay.
Karen, the best part of it is half of it's the county.
Oh, yeah, that is the best part of it.
Yeah, if you'd like to see,
No, I just wanted does anyone else have any questions? All right, and anyone in the audience? Okay, so may I have a motion to approve this draft plan, budget, so that it can, I'm doing what it says here so Diane can get this down, so that this can then be moved on to the Public Managers Association for their input.
Second?
No, I'm asking for, oh, yes. Hudson moved, Abelson seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
You know, why it's slimmer, or the skinny budget or whatever it still is nice. Couldn't you do this in an election year? Where everything's parenthetical and you're reducing the budget and all that. You couldn't figure this out that next year's when you want to do it, Martin?
I'm sure next year will come in appropriately, too. All right, we're moving on to item 4, which is a review and approve the proposed revised scope and schedule for the 2017 Countywide Transportation Plan Update and EIR. Mr. Engelman, I think you're on for almost everything tonight, aren't you?
I'm really hogging the show tonight.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay, and I appreciate you've taken the time to put this together, but this is an update. People read the staff report. Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Engelman? With that, I would entertain a motion to review and approve the proposed revised scope and update an EIR. Hudson, Abelson. All those in favor? We all approve it. Thank you very much. Then we're going to go on to number 5, which is comments received on the notice of preparation for the 2017 CTP EIR. And I do have them here. I'm not going to read each one. I'll be happy to move this down. Or did everyone? Oh, you all got one at yours. All right. So obviously we got some in time and we got 2 after, but I know our staff will take that into consideration because we're a great bunch of folks here. Is there anything that we need to know over and above what's in the staff report, Mr. Engelman? Or that you'd like to expand on?
Well, just so you know, we released a notice of preparation. We received the comment letters. All of the comment letters were in your packet except for one that arrived late. We've provided a summary of the comments received in your packet, and we will take these comments into consideration as we prepare a full EIR on the 2017 CTP.
And just to remind us, when is that? What's the time frame on that again? I'm looking.
So the time frame for the CTP was covered in item 4.
Where we didn't have any
And
questions.
where I didn't give a report. And so
Sorry.
we're proposing to release the draft CTP at the end of May, and the draft EIR in June, and then comments would be due probably by the end of August, and adoption would be in September.
Okay, that sounds good.
I'm sorry, comments would be due the end of July, actually.
Is this an action item too, or you just wanted to give us a report? It looks like it's a report, not just but it's a report. Receive staff's report. Can we have a motion to receive the staff report? Oh, good. Luella's going to move, and now Janet's going to second. Thank you very much. All those in favor? Aye. There we go.
Thank you.
Well, and everyone's here. They know I like to run an efficient meeting. However, I'm not taking away from the wonderful work that you do, but we're able to read everything, and because you make it so informative. All right, our last item tonight, and we probably do need a report on this, is the approval of consultant agreement number 465 with PlaceWorks for ongoing planning-related consultant services for the the congestion management and the growth management plans. Mr. Engelman.
Yes, Madam Chair. The effort for this began back in December when we released a request for proposal, 16-6, for ongoing planning-related consultant services. Responses were due on January 20th. We received 2 proposals, both of them qualified, one from Diet & Boccia Urban and Regional Planners, the second from PlaceWorks. The full teams are listed in your packet on page 6.2. The consultant selection committee, comprised of local staff and county staff, they met in January, and the decision was to go with PlaceWorks. At its meeting in March, the authority gave us authorization to begin negotiations with PlaceWorks. I have a description of their scope in the packet here. The total cost of services is estimated to be $400,000. I would like to introduce the Prime Consultants Principal, Charlie Knox, is in the audience.
Nice to
and
meet
he'll
you.
be helping us over the next few years, we hope, with developing and adopting the countywide plan, and continuing forth with our efforts in the growth management program and the congestion management program. So we're actually asking for your approval of the contract, or recommendation to the authority to approve the contract.
Does anyone have any questions? Let me just see if anybody else in the audience wishes to have any comments. No? All right. Then the motion is to recommend this to the full authority for approval. And Mr. Hudson,
Seems like we did this before. Are we getting these one at a time or something?
We haven't done
You
one.
are not, you're having a deja vu, but just a partial deja vu, and that is that we asked for authorization to negotiate. And now we negotiated, and this is the contract.
Which is nice that staff does that, because that's what they're supposed to do. Sometimes some staff, not anybody in this room, has not done. Mr. Hudson moved. Did I have a second? I'm sorry.
Bennett is queen of seconds.
Okay. Second by Abelson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries 4-0. And we are back to other business. Anybody have any other business? We all have other business, but I have a feeling we'd rather not share it in public. Number 8, news clippings. We have the notice of the public scoping meeting for the city of Pittsburgh. And with that, if there's no other business, we are adjourned to our next meeting on May 3rd. Wow.